gone.
We're alone. Woohoo! Well, hey there. How are you doing?
Oh man, good. I still am like, I can see my face going red the second you start talking because I'm like, holy shit, it's Kavik Sue. I'm actually like, I started watching your show when it first started. Like, this is wild to me. Wild. Okay, get it together. Together.
Well, cool. It is so cool to meet.
Man, yeah, this is like, I always like, there's been like years where I've always been like, you know what? If this is Sue, she would do this. And I'm like, I know I'm going to do that. If she can do that, I can do that. And now we're just like, now I'm talking to you. This is crazy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, how long have you been, now what's the name? Prelude Lake?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How long have you guys been there?
So not long. We were in Lutzel Cay. We were in Whitehorse first. Well, outside of Whitehorse.
Okay.
Then we were in Lutzel Cay, which is like the remote fly-in community. So there's no roads there. Everyone boats, flies, or skidoos. And just last year we moved out to Prelude. So it's like, just last year, like a year. And so there's no roads there either. So we have to skidoo to our truck or quad to our truck or boat, wherever it's parked. So we've only been there for about a year. Just like everything is still needing to be set up and like not quite ready for, life, but oh well, we're there.
Well, and I think like for me, if you go back to when I was tiny, small, young, whatever, I mean, I'm a year away from 60 now. But as you do a remote lifestyle, first thing I did was a tent. Then, you build trapping cabins or whatever, but each place you do, and even Kavik, I came here in my 30s, now I'm approaching 60. Your idea of, hey, this is groovy, this is great. Okay, I can improve this. And the last actually almost 10 days, I've been working on something. The knowledge you take and how you morph it and how you do it changes. And I came up with a term here recently, I would so win an episode of Arctic Hoarders. Because you get, there's no stores, and the amount of logistical nightmare you go through to get things, and especially in the past few COVID years, I'll just say I saved for years garbage can lids. You'll see why maybe in a year, but they came in very handy actually, and I went, who'd have thunk? I would not let go of these things for 10 years, but now they serve a purpose. So yeah, I might win an award for that.
Because I'm still trying to find the uses for all the things that Dennis stores, because he's got tarp shelters on top of tarp shelters, boxes, bins, stuffed in every little thing that can be protected from the snow or rain, and I still haven't found uses for all of them yet, although some random things do come in handy. But like, so you're telling me in 13 years I'll find a use for something?
It may take a decade, then all of a sudden you're looking for something. Where'd this go? And somebody goes, oh yeah, I threw that out a long time ago. My nephew that watched the place when I got injured, I'm like, where is this? I know I saved these bottle caps. And he's like, I threw those out. That would have saved my life.
So honestly, now I have to start collecting garbage can lids, because there's got to be a use for them in 10 years. So now you're the reason that I'm going to start with garbage cans. So you'll be my excuse in every argument I have about that. I'll be like, don't touch my garbage can lids. Okay, me and Sue, we have an agreement. If she did it, I do it. I mean, leave it alone.
Well, I understand. You have a little one. Yeah. How old?
He's 3.
Cute 3. Age, precocious.
Oh yes, super cute. She's adorable. She's far too much like me and not enough like her dad. And sometimes I'm like, why are you saying no to that? There's no logical reason. And she's like, no, like I won't get on the street. And I'm like, we literally have to go. Like this is how we leave. And she'll just walk around or she'll start walking. And I'm like, you know how far that is? Like you're unreasonable. So sometimes she walks and I skidoo really slowly because I'm like, fine, go ahead. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a wild change. Like kind of how you said, what the things that you accept when you first start remote or off grid, like fine with tent living, fine with no running water. Like I had no questions about it whatsoever. I was like, what do you mean? I have a jug. I got enough water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's come along in the last 3 years and I'm like, a little bit tougher. She's a little more
Yeah.
demanding. And it's not just what I can handle anymore. I have to think about what she can handle. And yeah, it definitely changes things. But she has been,
Yeah.
she's probably been one of the biggest challenges to me staying out here. Like for me and Dana to be like, yeah, we're going to keep doing this with a 3-year-old and soon to be a little baby. The stuff that we do together, she's like my sidekick. Like she literally demands. Like it's not even like, sometimes I'm like, can you want to stay? Like, do you want to just relax inside? And she's always like, no, I'm coming. And I'm like, God damn, okay, let's go. And so, but she does risky things, like handing your grandson that gun, right? Like we do risky things, but I say to her, instead of being like, no, 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 don't, we go the route like, what will happen? What's your plan if you climb up there and you fall? Like, what's going to happen? And at 3 years old, she can make the decisions to be like, well, I'll do this. And I said, do you think that'll work? And we're going to try it then, find out. And then she'll look at me sometimes and be like, wait, no, you go. And I'm like, no, my decision is I'm not going up there. Right. And so it's quite, to me, it's amazing to see how much she can recognize risk already at 3 years old because she's surrounded by it all the time. And and as long as I let her continue to do that, she's learning to make those decisions. And I didn't start making those decisions until well later on in my life. And I feel like sometimes I've been really lucky with the decisions that I've made because I chose the wrong ones because I wasn't used to it. I didn't have that background. And so I'm hoping, I hope she makes the wrong one sometimes, but I hope they don't kill her. Like I hope they don't end up in severe disaster. Right.
Yeah.
But,
well, it's like, it is inevitable that being so remote, one of the things I did from young on, I didn't have a lot of parental guardianship. I would ask, never be afraid to ask. And that's what I taught the kids too. Don't be afraid to ask. And the grandkids, I have, my grandson that was on the show is now 21 years old and, 6'6", 200 and chump change pounds. But they can't, I would ask people, how do you, some of the elders, what do you do for this illness? What is that? What is this? Any of the doctors, how do I do stitches? How do I do this? How do you use the sinew to do that? And you put it in your arsenal. And I had written a book, which, made a book for myself on how to do everything. And then that grew legs and left. So I've been doing another one, but it's not a matter of if at some point you're going to have a horrific burn, a broken limb, something. So have those things. Those are more tools in your arsenal. And it's not a bad idea to show the kids, hey, if this happens, that's shocking. Blood outside the body where it doesn't belong is shocking. But how do you handle it? On animals, we see it, we eat it, we do this. Humans, it can happen too. So how do we deal with it? Where is your chart that says This is what we do to get help. This is what we do to help.
Yeah.
And this is what we do to call for help.
Yeah.
And so for my kids, that was a big lesson because, you know, we're all more hard-headed than a piece of steel. And, you know, I don't need nobody, you know, I'm going to be like grandma. And I'm like, what makes you think I don't need anybody? You know, I mean, I want people, I don't want to live with anybody. But that doesn't mean you don't need people sometimes.
Yeah. You know what's funny? What you just said was one of the reasons that I watched you on the show so closely. I was like, this woman is out there by herself for so long. I was like, imagine. And now that I have a husband and a kid and I'm going to be another one, I'm like, how can I be left alone like that? I like the idea though that you are alone for so long was always something that I was like, God damn, like I really like that's something that I was jealous of even before I had kids. And now it's like it's stronger, like it resonates in the deepest part of my soul to be left alone. And I mean, did you always like the idea of being alone, or was it something that you had to get used to because you loved Kavik?
I prefer to be alone. I'm hilarious to be with. I understand myself. I never cut myself down. And it's my comfort zone. So that part didn't bother me. Animals, I've always been sort of the animal whisperer. When I was very, very young, it was probably the mid 60s. Let's say anywhere 65 to 67, going through Yellowstone Park. Everybody else is setting up the tent and I was sort of, you know, off on my own. And I see these puppies, you know, dogs, whatever, and I'm following them and I'm like, oh, isn't that cute? You know, wandering off, I'm petting the puppies and you get tired and I'm curling up with these little dogs and the mom and I, you know, pass out. Unbeknownst to me, there's all these people searching for me. And I wake up to the flashlights and whatnot, and they're like, keep still. Oh my God. You know, everybody's freaking out. And what I thought of, I was young and I thought they were puppies. They were bear cubs. And I was curled up with the cubs and the mom. But I was fine. They weren't fine with it. But that was, I've just had an affinity. Not every bear instance I've been through has been horribly negative.
Yeah.
But my alone time is valuable to me